Welcome back to PM Mentor PI. This is Matt. Now, in the last session, we clearly understood what SAP MM is and how it supports business operations. But today, we are going to answer one very important question. How is SAP actually implemented in a company? Let's be very honest. SAP is not just installed and used. It is implemented through structured project approaches, and the way you implement SAP decides project cost, timeline, risk, and long-term success. Today, we're going to understand the three major SAP implementation types: Greenfield, Brownfield, Hybrid. And by the end of this session, you will clearly know when to use which approach, what are the risks, and how projects differ in real life. So let's get started.
Now, let's start with the most fundamental concept. What exactly is SAP implementation? When we say SAP implementation, many people think it is just installing a software and starting to use it. But in reality, SAP implementation is much deeper than that. SAP implementation is a structured process of transforming a company's entire business operations into a standardized, integrated system. It involves understanding how the business works today, identifying gaps and inefficiencies, and then configuring SAP in a way that aligns with business goals. Think about it like this. Every organization already has some way of working. Some use Excel sheets, some use legacy ERP systems, and some already use older SAP versions like ECC. But these systems are often disconnected, manual, or inefficient. SAP implementation is the journey of moving from that current state to a modern, integrated system where everything is connected in real time. This journey includes multiple stages: understanding business processes, configuring SAP modules, migrating existing data, testing the system, training users, and finally deploying the system. But here is the most important point. SAP implementation is not just a technical activity. It is a business transformation initiative. It changes how procurement works, how finance records transactions, how production plans materials, and how sales deliver products. That is why SAP implementation requires strong collaboration between business users, consultants, and project managers. So whenever you hear the term SAP implementation, remember this. It is not about installing SAP. It is about transforming how a business operates.
Now let's move to the first and most important type of SAP implementation, Greenfield. Greenfield implementation means starting completely from scratch. There is no existing SAP system to rely on, no old configuration to reuse, and no legacy custom code to carry forward. This is like building a brand new house on empty land. You have complete freedom to design everything from the beginning. In a Greenfield project, the organization sets up a fresh SAP system, defines new business processes, and adopts SAP best practices. The focus is on creating a clean, optimized, and future-ready system. Companies usually choose Greenfield when their existing systems are outdated, highly customized, or not scalable. They see this as an opportunity to transform their business and align with modern processes. One of the biggest advantages of Greenfield is that it eliminates technical debt. Since nothing is carried forward, the system remains clean, simple, and easier to maintain in the long term. However, this approach also comes with challenges. Greenfield requires strong business involvement because processes may change significantly. Users need to adapt to new ways of working. Training and change management become critical. There is also a higher initial effort because everything is built from the ground up. But if executed correctly, Greenfield delivers maximum value. It allows organizations to standardize processes, reduce complexity, and fully leverage SAP capabilities. So remember this. Greenfield is about transformation. It is about building the right system for the future, not fixing the past.
Now let's move to the second type, Brownfield implementation, also known as system conversion. Unlike Greenfield, Brownfield does not start from scratch. Instead, it upgrades an existing SAP system, typically from SAP ECC to S/4HANA. Think of it like renovating your existing house instead of building a new one. The structure remains the same, but it is upgraded and modernized. In a Brownfield project, the organization retains its existing configuration, business processes, and data. Custom code is also migrated, although it may need adjustments to work with the new system. This approach is usually chosen by companies that want a faster transition with minimal disruption to business operations. Since users are already familiar with the system, the change impact is lower compared to Greenfield. One of the biggest advantages of Brownfield is speed. Implementation timelines are shorter, and the business can continue operations with minimal interruption. However, there is a trade-off. Because existing processes are retained, any inefficiencies or outdated practices may also be carried forward. Legacy custom code can increase system complexity and maintenance effort. That is why Brownfield is often seen as a safer but less transformative approach. It works well for organizations that are stable, have well-defined processes, and do not want major changes. So remember, Brownfield is about continuity. It upgrades the system while keeping the existing business structure intact.
Now, let's move to the third and most flexible approach, hybrid implementation. Hybrid, also known as landscape transformation, combines elements of both Greenfield and Brownfield. It allows organizations to selectively transform certain parts of their system while retaining others. Think of it like partially rebuilding your house. Some areas are redesigned completely, while others are preserved and upgraded. In a hybrid implementation, companies can choose which processes to redesign and which ones to carry forward. They can migrate only relevant data, clean up unnecessary information, and optimize specific business areas. This approach is especially useful for large enterprises with complex system landscapes. Many organizations have multiple systems, different business units, and varied processes. A full Greenfield may be too disruptive, and Brownfield may not provide enough improvement. Hybrid offers a balanced solution. It allows transformation where needed while ensuring business continuity. However, this approach is not simple. It requires careful planning, strong technical tools, and experienced consultants. Data selection, system integration, and process alignment must be handled very precisely. If done correctly, hybrid provides the best of both worlds, innovation and stability. So remember, hybrid is about balance. It combines transformation with continuity to meet complex business needs.
Now, let's bring everything together and clearly understand the difference between Greenfield, Brownfield, and hybrid implementations. Because in real SAP projects, this is one of the most important decisions a company has to make. Let's simplify this in a very practical way. Greenfield, Brownfield, and hybrid are not just technical approaches. They represent different business strategies. Greenfield is about starting fresh. It is chosen when a company wants to completely transform its processes, eliminate old inefficiencies, and adopt SAP best practices. It gives you a clean system, but it requires significant effort, strong change management, and user adaptation. Brownfield, on the other hand, is about continuity. It allows companies to upgrade their existing SAP system without changing everything. The advantage is speed and minimal disruption, but the downside is that existing inefficiencies and complexity may remain. Hybrid sits in between these two. It provides flexibility by allowing selective transformation. Some processes are redesigned, while others are retained. It offers a balance, but it requires careful planning and higher expertise. Now, think about it like three different mindsets. Greenfield says, let's rebuild everything the right way. Brownfield says, let's upgrade what we already have. Hybrid says, let's improve only what needs to change. Each approach has its own benefits and challenges, and there is no single approach that works for every company. The choice depends on multiple factors: business goals, system complexity, budget, timeline, risk appetite. So whenever you are part of an SAP project, always remember, the success of the project starts with choosing the right implementation approach. Because the foundation you choose determines everything that follows.
Now, let's make this even more practical with real-world scenarios. Because this is exactly how decisions are taken in actual SAP projects. Imagine a startup company that is growing rapidly and wants to implement SAP for the first time. They are currently using Excel, manual processes, or a small ERP system. They don't have any existing SAP landscape. In this case, the best approach is Greenfield implementation. Why? Because they have nothing to migrate, nothing to protect, and they want to build a strong, scalable system from day one using SAP best practices. Now, consider a mid-sized company that has been using SAP ECC for the last 10 to 15 years. They already have configured processes, large volumes of data, custom developments. Now, they want to move to S/4HANA. In this case, the most practical approach is Brownfield implementation. Why? Because they don't want to disrupt their entire business. They want a faster transition, retaining their existing processes while upgrading the technology. Now, let's take a large enterprise, for example, a multinational manufacturing company. They have multiple SAP systems, different business units, complex processes across regions. They want to modernize, but they cannot afford full disruption. In this case, the best approach is hybrid implementation. Why? Because they can selectively transform certain processes, clean their data, and consolidate systems without impacting the entire organization at once. So in real life, the decision is never theoretical. It is always based on business needs, system landscape, and long-term strategy. And this is what separates a good SAP professional from a Greek one. Understanding not just the system, but the business decision behind the implementation approach.
Hope you're enjoying this SAP Activate tutorial. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Contend, I reply to everyone.
Thanks for watching. I hope this session helped you understand SAP Activate better. If you have questions, comment below. I'm here to help. And make sure to subscribe to PM Mentor for more expert SAP and project management tutorials.